Welcome to radio station 104.5 Hebrew Radio, man. About to go into Genesis, but we're going to say all praise to the Most High, man. All praise to the Most High for another day of life, another day for acts of forgiveness, another day that that you can beg for His mercy, another day that you can repent, man. Repent and be baptized. Another day that you can give your life to the Most High, man. You know what I'm saying? All praise to the Most High for another chance and another chance to read His Word. We're going into Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6. But before that, I want to finish in just about Enoch in the Sealed Book of Mormon, chapter 4, starting off at verse 28. And it's going to bring us right in to Genesis chapter 6, hopefully. It says, in the days, however, some of the holy sentinel angels, who were the watchers class, were designated from the beginning as heralds of God in regard to the earthly affairs, and therefore they could materialize in carnal bodies in the likeness of men, and to infiltrate among the sons of daughters and sons and daughters of Adam. And under the influence of Anakiel, the person responsible for the plot that took place among the vigilantes who were corrupt, known among his fellows by Azazel, being the principal of those who abandoned their position that they obtained in heaven, and they came to build for themselves great refuge, which some of them, under the influence of Satan, had intercourse with the daughters of men, and in it have they brought forth seed, the giants of the land, due to the arrangement between the watchers, so that the angels who were rebellious would not come to imprison the remaining vigilantes who remained in the land to fulfill their purpose among the children of men, that they would leave the covenant people in peace. So that even to this day, for how much Aaron separated by cast lots, 2 goats, one for the Most High, to atone for the sins of the children of Israel, and one for the hand of Azazel, with the purpose of remembering the agreement of separation between the sentinels. Thus Aaron presented the goats that is appointed to the Most High, and will make him an burnt offering by the sin of men before God. For the goat appointed for Azazel must be brought alive before the Most High to make atonement upon him in remembrance of the agreement between them, so that it may be sent into the wilderness for Azazel to remember this agreement. For this reason it was decreed among the priests that the man who sent the goat to Azazel should wash his clothes and bathe in water before returning to the camp, and only then can he enter among the children of Israel. This is because this man went to meet an evil angel, and must purify himself spiritually and physically before returning to the congregation of God, of the one God. But behold, the giants were obtuse, without much reasoning, and therefore depended on their parents. In turn, in order to allow these men of great structure to become slaves of men by reason of their dementia, it was that the sentinel angels, who had been disobedient in abandoning their position with the Father, they began to use the earthly men to build cities, whose architect was the representation of the heavenly things. And that's why you see them trying to build the churches the way they try to build them. They're trying to build churches what they perceive is the architects of the heavenly church, the heavenly building, what they would say. So that men begin to obtain from the watchers the proper knowledge to mold the iron and to work their mixtures. Thus they could forge all sorts of devices for more resistant structures, such as weapons of war and carriages to battle. Their wives learned to mix of the herbs and their healing properties, and their young men learned the art of handling the sword and fighting with the bow and arrow. And it came to pass that Enoch went forth preaching to the people of the land of Saran, of Enoch the son of Canaan, of Anaiah, and of Heni, of Sim, and Hanah, and the land of Hanaiah, settling in the middle in the hill in a high place, to proclaim with a loud voice words against the works of all men who oft offended them, who offended him, who was offended because of him. It came to pass that Enoch called all the people unto repentance, with exception of the people of Canaan. And when they heard him, no man laid his hand upon him, for fear had taken hold of all that heard his word. And because many began to say that Enoch walked with God, also began to say that a seer stood amongst the people. And so great was his fate that no sentinel, no dark angel, no devil from hell, from the dark side, could shake his emotional foundation. So that Enoch led the people of God and taught them this same principle, to guard their heart from any and all adverse sentiments that fall upon them, having the unconditional attachment to those feelings which were derived from the greater gift, the love, the thought through the sentiments that emanate from the name of God, just as he has shown them when his enemies went out to battle against him, and he uttered the words of the Lord, that is, the word that had been sprung from his feelings, and the earth trembled, and the mountains crumbled, and the stones rolled, and the rivers turned from their natural course. The roaring lion roared together in the wilderness. Many heard and trembled. So this is with the power, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, if you have the faith like Enoch had, that's when they say you can speak to the waters and you can speak to the mountain, and the mountain will move out of your way. But how do you develop a faith like that in a world that we live in today? And that's why we have to separate ourselves unto reading this word, getting by yourself and reading this word, studying to show your own self approved, getting in deeper and deeper. And when you get tired of reading, if you're going to watch something on the video, try to watch it at least sometime. Try to get something that's going to broaden your scope, that's going to broaden your mind in the ways of the Most High. I do it with a lot of history. When I'm not reading in the Bible, I get into a lot of history, because I want to know. I'm trying to piece together all what happened. People say that's not important, but I want to know. That's my prerogative. I want to know. So when Enoch began to talk, just like the Most High said, his words put the fear of God in everything that he spoke to. So great was the fear of men that they feared the words spoken by Enoch. For so great was the power of these words that God had given him, through their settlements and faith, that even the giants, descendants of the sons of God, went away, abandoning their dwellings and their refuge.
All right, and we continue. It says here, the old-time San Diego giant, California, 1904. 8 foot 4 inches mummy found in San Diego. All right, so still in San Diego.
That the watchers had created for them with the help of earthly man, hiding in caves and deep valleys. And from that time forth, though there had been wars between men, Enoch knew that the Most High would come to the temple that Enoch had built for the Lord, because he saw angels descending from heaven, bearing testimony of the Father and the Son, and in the fullness of time he will come to dwell with his people, even as he came to dwell with the people of Enoch before he took them. For they shall be as in the days of Enoch, a people who live righteously. That's why we have to try to separate ourselves. We have to deal with our own demons in this harsh, demon-filled world. You have our own demons and shortcomings and everything that we have to deal with. So you have to deal with those things. You have to really, really spend time in the word of the Most High, man. You really have to spend time and cut off a lot of other things, a lot of other avenues, a lot of other distractions, because these distractions are trying to take you away from the truth. They're really trying to take you away from the truth. So you have to set aside time or whatever you got to do. Put your phone in another room, whatever it is, to make time with the Most High. And then you just start increasing that time and increasing that time and increasing that time. And then read the scriptures. He said for the man and woman that's doing that, he's going to, in the end times that we're living in now, he is their protection. He's going to protect them. If they endure to the end, if they keep enduring in his love, in his spirit, in his will, in his way, into the end, they're protected by him, while you got 10,000 falling on your right and 10,000 falling on your left. Nothing is touching you because you're protected by the Most High, because of your obedience to his word. Not because you did this and not because you did that, because of your obedience to his word. Then you say, well, everybody's not obedient to it. Why everybody ain't just passing away? Well, do you see a lot of people passing away? A lot of folk are dying all around you, and it ain't touched you yet. You still have time, mercy, and grace to get yourself in line with the Most High. For all of us to get ourselves in line with the Most High. While thousands are dying on the left and thousands are dying on the right. You focus on the Most High, and the Most High is protecting you through it all. Through it all. So I just wanted to finish off with that Enoch, because as the story goes forward, it goes into, it jumps pretty quick into Noah. So this is Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives, all of which they chose. Now you see, they said they had some rebellious angels, rebellious sentinels here, doing one thing, trying to build for themselves a refuge. And you had those who were under Satan. Those who were under Satan, Satan showed them how to transform themselves into bodies that resembled men, and they could begin to take for themselves wives of the daughters of men, and plant seed in their bodies, and create more bodies for them to inhabit. He says there were giants, and it says verse 2, the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So we went from living, our forefathers went from living 9, 700, 800 years, 500 years, 300 years, down to maximum now. You don't even see people getting to 100 years hardly now. So as progression, as life goes on, we die younger. He said that the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were old, and men of renown. And God said that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination and thought of his heart was only evil continually. Now, this is where, in this scripture, this scripture right here, is where most people call God a liar. Because God said, this is when they're, well, brother, you need to, man, listen, we need to try to come back to these commandments. Try to do it God's way, man. Try to, we got to follow these commandments. My sister, we need to follow these commandments. Listen, I ain't got to do all that. Listen, I'm good. God know my heart. God know my heart, y'all. God know my heart for when it's something that you don't want to do. God know your heart. And God said that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. You just doing what you think is best for you. That's evil in the Most High's sight. That's evil. What about your brothers? How you loving your brothers and sisters as you love yourself if you always putting yourself before you put everybody else? That's evil in the Most High's sight. So you have to go all the way down to your thinking. All your thinking, a lot of things that you think is righteousness, because of the circumstances that you find yourself in, the Most High is saying in your thinking and in your heart, all your imaginations that you're thinking about is evil continually, because it's all about you, or it's all about your child, about your grandchild. But what about your neighbor's child and your neighbor's grandchild? Don't you love them like you love yourself too? And don't you love their children like you should love your children? This is where we came from, but we're not there anymore. Now we're in a society that everybody is so set apart and divided that even neighbors can't correct each other's children no more, without the fear of retribution, without the fear. And when I was growing up, if one of my neighbors, one of my friends' parents came and they were all our neighbors, and said I did something in their yard, and they had to spank me because I refused to listen, my mama and my daddy were like, well, you did right. And when he get back home, as a matter of fact, he come right now, I'm gonna smack him in front of you again to show him that he was wrong. But nowadays, no, that don't happen no more. If I try to correct your child cuss me out, because you didn't already say nobody better not tell my child nothing. And I bring it to you that your child cussed me out. Your 10-year-old, your 9-year-old. Well, what you said to him. I told him to get out of my flower bed. Well, I mean, he's just a kid. That's what they do. Well, I was about to whip him. I was about to spank him, but nah, you don't put your hands on my child. And now the children are men and women in the neighborhood running around. Wow. Doing whatever. Saying whatever. That's why the Most High say, if you're just concerned about yours and your house and then your thoughts are evil, because in the end, you're not concerned about nobody else. You're breaking commandments that you're not even realizing in your thoughts that you're breaking commandments. The Lord said, look what he said, verse 6, and it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. How many times we are grieving the Most High at his heart now by our actions? How many times now that we grieve the Most High, man? I'm not saying y'all, I'm saying me too, because some of the things we grieve the Most High. A lot, even in a lot of things that we don't even know we're grieving Him in, because our thought process is so messed up. But we grieving the Most High in His heart. I'm just so glad He ain't repenting that He made us now. But it's coming. The time of destruction is coming. It's been prophesied and it's coming. And the Lord said, I will destroy man who I created from the face of the earth, both man and beast and creeping thing and the fowl of the air, for it repented me that I had made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. How did Noah find grace in the eyes of the Lord? We read about it in the second stick. It was taught to him from generation to generation. They taught their children the ways of God. Some listened, most didn't. Just like now, some listen, most don't. They hear you, but they're not listening to you. Because if most times if they listen to you, then you sound offensive to them, because you keep it seems like all you're doing is pointing out wrong. Well, if everything is wrong, I'm not just pointing it out for you, I'm pointing it out for all of us. We wrong. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and a perfect in his generation. Now, people say, well, that don't mean he was perfect. But the scriptures say he was perfect in his generation. And Noah walked with God. It says that about Job. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Why did Noah find grace in the eyes of the Lord? Because Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation. And Noah walked with God. That's why he found grace. Because Noah was walking with God. Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And the earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Room shall thou make in it the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. So people right here, people, think that, well, the Spaniards and all that, they was the only ones traveling across the oceans and all of these things, man. They was the only one doing stuff like this. They was the only one who had the technology. They came with the ships. But way back with Noah, God told Noah to make an ark. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. For shalt thou make it in the ark, thou shalt pitch it within and out with pitch. Verse 15, and this is the fashion which thou shalt make it. So we had the knowledge of that before that. So stop putting people in a box, putting history in a box, because it's convenient for you to put it in a box. This is the only way you can understand it, when the history is way bigger than that. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of 30 cubits. A window shall thou make. So you're gonna make this you making a cruise ship. It's gonna be this is what you making. A window shall thou make to the ark, and it in a cubit shall thou finish it above, and the doors of the ark shall thou set in the side thereof. With lower and second and third stories shall thou make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh. Wherein, see, people talk about the Most High. The Most High don't. If He's going to do this, the Most High has judgment. He's love, yes, but He has judgment. And behold, I, even I, the I is God, the I is the Most High, do bring a flood of water upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein the breath of life. Where is the breath of life? For under the heaven and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant. He was going to do that. This is amazing. The Most High would, when you keep reading, he was going to do it again with Moses. He told Moses, get out the way and let me destroy them all, and with you I'll make my covenant. And Moses said, oh Lord, that you remember the covenant you made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our fathers. Perhaps your enemies will say that you brought them out into the wilderness to slay all of them. But he do have judgment, wherein the breath of life is under the heavens, and everything that is on the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons with his wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. Just why I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. I just watched that movie, Noah's Ark on TV, and they got Noah. Only one of his sons got a wife, and she gets pregnant on the ark. And Noah has promised to kill the babies. If the babies are girls, he was going to throw them overboard. If they're boys, he would let them live, because he believed that God was destroying all the earth and everything off the earth, and that they was going to be the last people, and they wasn't going to repopulate. They was just going to Noah say he was going to die first. They was going to bury him, and then his wife would die, and Shem would bury him, and it would go down the line that the sons would bury each other until the last one was there. This is what they were showing in the movie. And I'm like, well, that's not what it reads in the Bible. It says, let me see where I was. He said, I would and with thee I would establish my he said, I would establish my covenant with thee. So he says, I will bring a flood upon the earth and destroy all flesh wherein the breath of life from under the heavens, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. So if you believe in you watching this movie, this is how people are being deceived, because the deceivers know that people believe what they see. So if they're showing you that story, and that's all that, if you don't get into the book and read for yourself, and they're showing you that story, you begin to believe this folk tale and not believe that. And when somebody come and tell you the truth, well, no, man, all three of Noah's sons had wives. Oh no, they didn't. I saw the movie. Oh, praise the Most High, man. And every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort, shall thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing of the earth shall after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come into the ark, to keep them alive. Take thou unto thee of all the food that is in that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah according to all the commands of him, the commandments, that all that God commanded him, so did he. So Noah, we just read that Noah found grace in the eyes of the Most High, and at the very end it says Noah did all that God commanded him. Noah followed the commandments of God, not just the command to build an ark. He was already following the Most High's other commandments. Him and his children, they were following the commandments of the Most High. Genesis chapter 7, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou, and all thy house into the ark. For thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. It says, look, it says, of every clean beast thou shalt take thee by 7. So he said, make sure you got 2. But of the clean ones, you get 7. The male and his female. And of the beasts that are not clean, by 2, the male and his female. And the fowls also of the air by 7, the male and female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And so people say, well, how did the giants get from was before the flood and then they made it to after the flood? Verse 4, for yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. The giants wasn't made by him. The giants were hybrid. The giants were made by angels transforming themselves into bodies like unto men and planting new seed on the earth. But everything that he made that was corrupt, he destroyed off the face of the earth. Because he said the earth also has corrupted their way. The beast of the field, all of it, everything was corrupt. So he shut that down. And just like he kept clean people alive in the ark, Noah and his children, those who were following the commandments, he found animals that found favor in his sight and brought them to the ark. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. Once again, he did all the commandments and this. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters were upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons. And in the movie, they showed that at 600 years old, first they were showing him as a young man. The kids, the one kid is Shem. He has a wife, look like he's about 18. He has a wife, but the other two kids are much younger, and neither one of them have wives. And Ham left mad because Noah was supposed to find him a wife, and Noah let his wife die. Ham went out and found his own wife, and Noah let his wife die on the way back to the boat before the people stormed the ark to come in. So this is what Hollywood do. That's what Hollywood do. But the truth is far from that. It says, and Noah went in, and his sons, and his wives, and his sons' wives, with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood, of the clean beasts, and of the beasts that are not clean, and of the fowls, and everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went in two and two unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass that after 7 days, that the waters of the floods were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day where all the fountains of the great deep broke open. So the flood came from beneath and from on top. It wasn't just the 40 days of rain. It says in the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. So the water came from above, from beneath, and from above. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And in the self same day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his children with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And when they went unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh wherein the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh. This is how the Most High sustains life upon the earth. Male and female. This is how reproduction happens. Male and female. But then Satan comes along with his technology that he learns from the fallen angels. And he teaches man how, through technology, how to produce a child without a father, to further separate the woman from the man. I don't need you for nothing. I can have a baby, a test tube baby, and get money from the government to sustain both of us. What I need you for. So that starts division in the house, starts division in the neighborhood. It says, and the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the water was increased, and bare up the ark, and it was lifted upon the earth. And the water prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the water. And the water prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. So so much water that the highest mountain was covered. 50 cubits upward did the water prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of beasts and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life. They keep bringing that breath of life. It's because that's the things that the Most High made. He breathed life into them. And of all that was in the dry land died. And everything, and every living thing, substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground. So if you think you're going to be able to save up something like they're telling you now, you got to save up, when destruction come, every living thing, substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark, and the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. So they just telling you 40 days. Oh, 40 days and 40 nights. But look what it says. And the water prevailed upon the earth 150 days to make sure. You know, they got birds that can just throw out their wings and glide in the wind. It's like, nah, the water gonna be covering everything long enough for you to get tired. Everything that think they're gonna be to survive, that I put my breath of life in. Everything that I've created, I'm destroying. Now, what about your heart now? We keep talking about the Most High know our heart. What about your heart now? We're worse than them. We're worse than them. We're so far away from God. We're worse than the people was back in those days. At least they knew that the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet other 7 days. And again he sent forth doves out of the ark. And the doves came to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet other 7 days, and sent forth doves, which returned not again unto him anymore. That's when he knew, all right, there's some land again out here. And it came to pass that in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from the earth, from off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month of the 7th and 20th day of the month was the earth dry. So it's like, it was drying off, but you could still see water and land. But at another month, it was dry. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth out of the ark, and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all flesh, both fowl and cattle, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth. That's why he had male and female, so that when it was time to repopulate, they would breed what? Abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him, every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kind, went forth out of the ark. And Noah built an altar unto the Lord, and took every clean beast, and every clean fowl, and every burnt offering on the altar. And behold, of the altar, and the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said, it is in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imaginations of his heart is evil from his youth. He said, you know what? I'm not going to destroy it again like this here. When I destroy it, it's judgment. I can't do this again just because if they repopulate the earth and there's a bunch of evil people again, we're going to roll this one out to judgment. He says, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake, for the imaginations of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything that live as I have done. He said, I'm not going to hurt the ground no more. I'm not going to hurt the earth no more. Because it's man that's evil. It's not the earth that's evil. It's man that's evil. And I'm not going to do the beast no more like that. because it's man that's evil. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Never will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, now look what he's saying, while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease, as long as the earth remains. But there's a time of judgment coming. When he said he gonna roll up the heavens like a scroll. This the whole thing gonna get wrapped up. And just like everything else happened, just like we seen everything else, all when you in the truth and you reading the prophecies, you see all these things happening. This gonna happen too. He's gonna roll it up. It's gonna be judgment again. But right now you have grace and mercy. We all have grace and mercy to, to try to get ourselves right, man. And that's what we got to do, man. All praise to the Most High. 104.5 Hebrew Radio.
All right, so we continue. It says here, beneath LA, San Francisco, and San Diego, buried cities. From this conclusion must not be drawn that the remainder of America is not also a venerable antiquity, because the reverse is the truth. Still, California, from her mountain peaks, has patiently seen, with ever watchful eye, the land to the east of her gradually rise, shaken the salt sea from her back, while the west and south volcanic action has shaken the earth into fragments until it has become a prey to the devouring water, leaving the present state as the only monument in this part of the country to testify to the ancient grandeur of the land and the high civilization to which it gave birth. All right, the high civilization that it gave birth. They're talking about America, right? Beneath the soil of California is hidden vast wealth. All right, listen. We've already gone over the skeleton remains they found here, the oldest humans, right? We've already gone over the Calavera skull and all these other findings in California, right? This ancient land, this vast wealth hidden underneath, right? Much greater indeed than any of her rich greater indeed than any of her rich minds have ever yet produced, while beneath the foundations of her cities, more especially of San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Diego. All right, listen to this. Beneath these cities, right, these major cities of California, beneath them, this is a news report, right? He buried the remains of mighty cities. There was mighty cities right under these cities. There's other cities down there. Reset, it would not be wise, even if we knew the exact locations of this deeply hidden treasure, to point out its probable locality. It would not be wise, even if we knew the exact location of this deeply hidden treasure, to point out its probable locality. Such is the natural cupidity of mankind that only strife and possibly bloodshed could follow the public possession of such knowledge, especially at this stage of our evolution, when selfishness and greed are too often the mainsprings of human action. No harm can be done, however, in reciting the facts, as we are on the verge of important discoveries, it is said, which will establish the truth of these statements beyond the shadow of a doubt. All right? What was about to be discovered about America, they hid it. They did the reset, they hit it, the world fairs, like, nope, manifest destiny, nope, you all from Africa, you guys get it. So, all this was being hidden, it's still being hidden, right? All this discoveries, we're gonna keep going over it. This is the Brothers page with all these newspaper clips. We're gonna read more and more, from books, primary sources, what they were finding here in America.
I want to show you some things that I don't think you even knew existed. It goes against everything Manifest Destiny teaches about Native Americans. And I want you to know this part of our history because people erased it. And we'll get to that later on in the program. Erased it intentionally. Erased it intentionally. That's an important part of it. America's history didn't begin with Christopher Columbus came over. There were ancient cities with advanced architectures all across North America. Did you know that? Hundreds of years before Columbus came. You always think, oh, the Indians, they didn't scar the land. No, not true. These were cities as large as any in the world at the time. London or Rome, they were metropolises. Archaeologists say they have found evidence of 200,000 actual cities of mound-like structures all across North America that were here long before Columbus. But we don't know anything about them. Why? Why?
Why would so many people be covering up the evidence of earlier civilizations in the Americas? I think some people have called it a colonial cover-up, a colonial archaeological conspiracy.
There's two sides to this story. In one side of the story is the way America was conquered by basically Anglo-Saxons, and in that conquest of the Americas, what they confronted was an indigenous people who had inhabited that realm for tens of thousands of years, we now know. And the first thing they did was to attempt to exterminate them physically, to get them out of the way. And when that became objectionable, the next measure was to exterminate their culture, to rub it out, to pour scorn upon it, to say that it was of no value, that in a sense, the absurd and monstrous argument was that the Native Americans deserved what was done to them because they were supposedly not capable of any high culture. We now know that that's completely untrue, and that was a conspiracy. That was a conspiracy to destroy Native American culture and thus to legitimize the conquest and the massive theft of land. And it carried on into the 20th century with the so-called boarding schools, where Native American children, almost all of them, were taken away from their families.
All right, so quickly I want to read from this newspaper article that I found. It was from it says here, the Kansas City Journal, from Monday, October the 12th, 1896. And the title is Prehistoric Man, the Human Race and Its Dispersions. How long has the earth been people, and when and where was the beginning? After correlating all data that have been made public to the present time, all right, the conclusion is unavoidable that the oldest civilization was in the Yucatan and Central America. Future discoveries may change this conclusion. It seems that Egypt was first peopled by immigrants from the Yucatan. Say what? It seems that Egypt was first peopled by the immigrants from Yucatan. Space will allow only a few facts that clearly indicate the truth of this assertion. First, the pyramids of Yucatan are some of them much larger than any found in Egypt. All right, much larger than any found in Egypt. That of Cheops not accepted. All right, and Giza. Second, the pyramids of Egypt bear structural evidence of having been modeled on those of Yucatan, notably of the one at Coloma, which covers 23 acres. Third, the early Egyptians and the Mayas of Yucatan had the same system of reckoning time, but the Mayas developed a system that was far superior. Again, we got that in the Foreign Quarterly Review, right? Far superior or excelled, in which antedates that of Egypt is older than Egypt, all right? Fourth, the Mayas manufactured cement that was of the same material as that of ancient Egypt. Fifth, the architecture of Yucatan is of the same general type as that of an ancient Egypt, but it is finer and seems to have been the model that the Egyptians attempted to imitate. They attempted to imitate our models from here, America. Six,
the art of both countries, as displayed in their ceramics and architecture, is of the same type or school, that of Yucatan, being much more highly developed. All right. Again, this was an article written in the Kansas City Journal, Monday, October 12th, 1896. If you want to look it up, prehistoric man. They're telling you straight up in this article back in 1896 that we were the source, we were the cradle of civilization, and we went and colonized Egypt over there, just like Thoth told us in Atlantis, the Emerald Tablets, right? And the green Emerald Tablets.